Welcome to the world of dark romance tales. Dare to follow us into the night, where desire and danger entwine. The front door was locked tight. The passcode changed. He left me standing outside our home with a sentence as cold as the first winter breeze. Think carefully about what you've done. I stayed there until the streetlights flickered on, still unable to understand what mistake I had made. My boyfriend was still furious. The way he loved was strange, always quick to get angry over nothing. I used to think that if I just stayed patient, coaxed him a little, everything would be fine. But this time, I was really tired. I didn't want to coax him anymore. I walked into the study. The first thing I saw were pages of design drafts scattered all over the floor. Tư Nghiên stood in the middle, glaring at me with resentment. I took a deep breath and bent down to pick up the torn pieces. I had stayed up 2 nights straight to finish those designs in time. And he destroyed them, in less than 2 minutes. The room fell silent except for the soft rustling of paper. Then Tư Nghiên snapped, "Is that damn pile of drawings all you care about?" That's when I noticed his hand. His index finger was swollen. A blister torn open from ripping the pages. A few drops of blood forming at the edge. He glared at me without moving. I sighed and fetched the first aid kit to treat his wound. As I wrapped the bandage around his finger, he muttered, "Is work really more important than your health? Your stomach's already weak, and you still don't eat on time." A bowl of steaming fish porridge sat on the table, its gentle aroma filling the air. Someone like Tư Nghiên, spoiled since childhood, had actually gone into the kitchen and hurt himself, for me. I had been so focused on work that when he put the porridge down and told me to eat later, I barely acknowledged him. I didn't expect that the moment I came out of the bathroom, my drawings would be shredded beyond repair. How many times have I told you? Stop ruining your health for work. Lạc Chi, do you ever listen to anything I say? His words were full of concern, but his tone was icy. He was always like that, doing good things for me, yet with the most infuriating attitude. I looked at the pile of torn paper, then at the still steaming porridge, and let out a long, weary sigh. Fine, I'll let it go this time. After 5 years together, I couldn't bear to leave, but if it happened again, I would say goodbye. I didn't expect, next time, to come so soon. On our 5th anniversary, I brought a cake home but couldn't open the door. I had forgotten my keys inside, and the passcode failed 3 times. I called Tư Nghiên. It took him 10 minutes to pick up, and he said, coldly, "Think carefully about what you've done." I stood outside until the night settled in, until the streetlights lit up one by one, still clueless about what I had done wrong. My phone rang. It was Tư Nghiên. "Do you admit your mistake yet?" I didn't answer. His voice turned frigid. "Then don't come in." This time, I wasn't the same as before. I didn't stubbornly ask for reasons. I simply accepted it. I threw the cake into the trash. Then, step by step under the dim glow of the streetlights, I walked away from the place we had shared for years. I found a hotel to stay for the night. At 2 a.m., I checked my phone. There wasn't a single message from Tư Nghiên. He was unbearably proud. He had never apologized first. Not once. Even when he cared, he couldn't say it directly, always hiding everything deep inside. Every time, I had to guess, to interpret every little thing to understand him. I never understood why someone who loved couldn't just show it plainly. A friend once told me, "That's just how Tư Nghiên is, arrogant and impossible. Just coax him a little and everything will be fine." But I was tired. I didn't want to be the one who always compromised. I didn't want to coax him anymore. So I texted Tư Nghiên. "Let's break up. Ending it here might be the best outcome for both of us." The next day at work, Leon Tripp, my supervisor and Tư Nghien's friend, saw me walk in alone and asked, "Where's Tư Nghiên? You two fight again?" He'd watched our relationship from the beginning. It only took a glance for him to know something was wrong. He sighed. "You know how Tư Nghiên is. He looks cold on the outside, but inside he cares so much it drives him crazy." I knew. From the very first time I met Tư Nghiên, I knew exactly the kind of person he was. That day, I attended a seminar with a senior colleague who was close with the Tu family. So we picked Tư Nghiên up on the way. When he got into the car, he accidentally bumped into me. Before I could say anything, he scolded me first, even though the tips of his ears were bright red. I suddenly felt mischievous. So how do you want to settle this? Should I repay you with my body? Tư Nghien's face turned crimson instantly, though he tried to maintain his arrogant expression. Lots of people like me. You won't get a chance in this lifetime, try again in the next one. Then he bit his lip unconsciously. But when our eyes met, he quickly looked away. I just laughed it off. Before getting out of the car, he thrust his phone at me. I blinked in confusion. He turned his head aside, avoiding my gaze. Give me your number. Everyone gave me a ride today. So, if there's a chance later, I should repay the favor. My senior colleague winked at me, and I instantly understood. Given the connection between my senior and the Tu family, Tư Nghiên didn't need me as a middleman to repay any favor. It was obvious he just wanted my number. Yet he still made up such a clumsy excuse. Right then and there, I realized he was the type who said one thing but felt another, stubborn to the core. Back then, it wasn't a big deal. I could accept that. At least, until we started dating and had our first real fight. That day, I had just finished a major project. I had promised Tư Nghiên we would celebrate together. But I waited all day and he never showed up. He didn't pick up my calls. Didn't reply to my texts. I was so worried I almost called the police. Only then did he finally appear, slow, silent, with that icy expression. It wasn't until later, through friends, that I learned the reason. Before leaving home, I hadn't worn the necklace he gave me. He had spent a long time choosing it, and the fact that I accepted it but didn't wear it made him feel like I didn't care about his feelings. So he got upset and disappeared. But he could have just told me. I couldn't read his mind. I couldn't always decipher these backwards, contradictory words he lived by. Another time, I came home exhausted from work, collapsed onto the sofa, and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, I woke up to find Tư Nghiên sitting beside me. If you're that busy, then fine, he said flatly, let's cancel the trip. Work had been hectic. I had been working overtime for days and honestly wasn't sure if I could finish before our vacation. So without thinking, I just answered casually, okay. Tư Nghien's eyes immediately darkened. He shot me a furious glare, then stood up and slammed the door so hard it rang in my ears. Only then did I fully wake up. He was speaking backwards again. He had been looking forward to that trip. But why couldn't he just say it clearly? I was tired, physically, mentally. For the first time, I felt genuinely disappointed in him. During my lunch break the next day, I called a locksmith. Of course he couldn't give me the passcode. But my things were still in the house. I needed to get them back. The moment the door opened, Tư Nghiên was sitting on the living room sofa, his expression pitch black. The locksmith looked confused. I paid him, then headed straight upstairs. Lạc Chi. Tư Nghiên stopped me. You brought a stranger into our home without asking? Is this how you treat the place you call home? When I graduated, my parents died in an accident. For a long time, I had no one. Seeing other people surrounded by family always made something inside me ache, an empty space too big to fill. After I met Tư Nghiên, we lived together in a cramped rental apartment until he succeeded in his career and bought this house. That day, he put the keys in my hand and said, "You've always wanted a home, right? I'm giving you one." It was one of the rare times he expressed affection openly. I cherished it, cherished this place as our home. I always thought that if we ever broke up, the one to walk away would be Tư Nghiên, decisive and cold as ever. I never imagined the first person to leave would be me. But Tư Nghiên kept going, his voice sharp. What the hell are you trying to pull? You're the one who's wrong here. It doesn't matter anymore. I cut him off. We've already broken up. He froze, completely stunned. I slipped past him and went upstairs to pack. Everywhere I looked, there were memories of him. The sofa where he held me during movies. The shared toothbrush cups in the bathroom. The balcony where he hugged me tightly as fireworks lit up the night sky. He kissed me so deeply that night. But somewhere along the way, every time I opened the door to this house, the warmth had been replaced by suffocating tension. Tư Nghiên had forgotten his promise. Every time we fought, he moved into the office. If I didn't apologize first, he would never come home. I had said, "I'm sorry," countless times before, but I no longer wanted to. When I dragged my suitcase downstairs, Tư Nghiên was still standing in the same spot. I tried to walk past him, but just as I did, he grabbed my arm. "Take back what you said." "No." A vein throbbed at his temple, his voice trembling with restrained anger. "Fine, then we're done. Don't ever come looking for me again." He pulled out his phone, blocked me right in front of my face, then pointed toward the door. "Get out." Team lead Lạc Chi, "Are you okay?" The new intern, fresh out of college, looked worried when he saw my pale expression. I shook my head and kept explaining the project process. Then suddenly, Leon Tripp rushed over, pulled the intern aside, and whispered to me, "You're still talking to him? Aren't you afraid Tư Nghiên will get jealous?" I didn't understand. Leon sighed. "On your 5-year anniversary, Tư Nghiên actually went to pick you up early. But when he saw you laughing with the new guy, he got mad and drove off. That's why he locked you out." "So that was the real reason." "Please learn from this," Leon groaned. "Don't provoke him anymore." "We broke up," I said simply. Leon stared at me, stunned. "For real? Don't do this. Tư Nghiên cares about you more than you think." He hesitated, then added, "Believe it or not, that kid is probably curled up somewhere crying right now." Before I could respond, Leon called Tư Nghiên on the spot. Tư Nghiên picked up immediately. "Hello." Just one word, low, tired, heavy. I had heard his voice countless times, deep, warm, with that familiar hint of arrogance. But never had it sounded so filled with loss. Leon shot me a look, then said into the phone, "Lạc Chi is right next to me. Say what you want to say." The moment Tư Nghiên realized I was listening, his tone changed instantly. "I have nothing to say to her. Tell her to get lost." Leon gave me a helpless look. Maybe because I had always been the one yielding, Tư Nghiên couldn't believe this breakup was real. Because to him, those two words, break up, were too heavy. I had never said them before. Because I knew, once spoken, there would be no turning back. And it meant I truly wanted to leave him. Near the end of the workday, the office suddenly buzzed with excitement. "Did you see him? That guy in the boss's office is insanely handsome. Even hotter than Minh Ting. I heard he's the boss's friend. I'm totally asking for his number later." Sister So leaned close to me. "You missed him while you were out greeting clients. I took a sneaky picture, come look." She showed me her phone. Of course, it was Tư Nghiên. He had brought me to work before, but he never once stepped inside. My coworkers knew I had a boyfriend, but none of them knew what he looked like. Then the office door opened. Tư Nghiên walked out toward the restroom. When he saw me at my desk, his eyes lit up, but I kept typing, never looking his way. His face darkened instantly. He let out a cold scoff and walked off without another glance. My coworkers kept whispering. One thing about hot guys, there's always something wrong with their personality. He's gorgeous, but you'd be crazy to date him. With that face, I'd put up with anything. I'm totally going after him. True to her word, Sister So treated the whole office to coffee. She personally brought Tư Nghiên his cup. I watched him accept it politely, even smiling as he thanked her. A few small exchanges, then they traded numbers. Su Nian even glanced deliberately in my direction, as if to say, if you don't value me, someone else will. For an entire week, Su Nian came to the company every day. At first, he'd shoot me annoyed looks. But later, he didn't even look at me once. Meanwhile, he and Sister So grew closer. Everyone assumed they were about to become a couple. Leon pulled me aside. You're really just gonna sit here? If you don't do something, Su Nian will end up with someone else. I asked him, if he's the one flirting, why aren't you lecturing him? Leon sighed. With how stubborn he is, no one can talk sense into him. You two were together for years, ending it like this is a waste. My best friend once stayed up all night with me, analyzing everything, hinting that I should leave Su Nian. But his friends did the opposite, they always urged reconciliation. It wasn't until much later that I realized. As outsiders, they had always seen through our relationship more clearly than I did. They knew who kept bending, and who kept benefiting. I just realized it too late. Which is why I'm struggling so much now. Suddenly, cheers erupted across the office. Su Nian had just gifted Sister So a bracelet. She blushed. It was just a cup of coffee, you didn't have to. Su Nian smiled softly. I really liked it, so I wanted to thank you properly. Please accept it. The atmosphere turned ambiguous. Someone whispered. How romantic. And yes, Su Nian was romantic. He always remembered every special date. Always prepared something thoughtful. Last Valentine's Day, he booked the best table at Hun to watch the light show over the beach. When the sky glowed gold, he handed me a bouquet of roses, and I carefully fastened the cufflinks I had chosen for him. A tourist recorded it and uploaded it online. The comments were full of praise, calling us the perfect couple. But the truth behind that moment wasn't beautiful at all. Su Nian had been furious, complaining non-stop. These are hideous. I've never seen uglier cufflinks. My style is ruined because of you. Lạc Chi, stop buying things on your own. You have no taste. My heart sank. I had put so much effort into choosing them, consulting experts, comparing designs. But if Su Nian didn't like them, then all my effort was meaningless. Only much later did Leon tell me the truth wasn't as simple as I thought. Su Nian was born a rich young master, while I was just an ordinary girl. He didn't want to see me working myself to exhaustion, fainting. Even, just to buy him a gift. So he used those harsh, cutting words to stop me. But now, watching how gentle and soft he looked while talking to Ms. Soar, a sharp, belated sourness bloomed in my chest. So he did know how to say thank you when receiving a gift. So he did know how to make someone feel appreciated. Just, not me. I could no longer tell which part of his cold attitude came from love, and which part came from actual disdain. His love was always buried under layers of thick ice. And when I opened my arms toward him, all I ever touched was bone-deep coldness. I pulled my gaze back and turned to leave. Behind me, co-workers were whispering. Ms. Soar is going to confess to Su Nian today. But after work, I was suddenly stopped by Ms. Soar, her face twisted with anger. She yelled. Lạc Chi, you fake little snake. Su Nian is your boyfriend, why didn't you say so? You let me make a fool of myself on purpose, didn't you? I treated you so well, and you pull petty tricks behind my back? You two really deserve each other. Just looking at you makes me sick. Her outburst drew attention immediately. People stopped walking, staring, whispering. My cheek throbbed from the humiliation. And then I saw Su Nian walking from the other side of the street. This is what you wanted, I told him. Su Nian turned his head slightly, refusing to meet my eyes. His voice still carried that familiar arrogance. Who told you to screw up and refuse to apologize? A wave of fatigue washed over me. I didn't want to argue anymore. I simply turned and walked away. Su Nian chased after me, grabbing my wrist. You're going the wrong way. That's not the road home. He had probably been staying at the office these last few days. He didn't even realize I hadn't gone back to that home since the night he locked me out. I pulled my hand away, firmer than I had ever been. Tư Nghiên, there's nothing between us anymore. Stop bothering me. A flicker of panic flashed in his eyes. While he was frozen, I got in my car, rolled up the window, and drove off. In the rear-view mirror, his figure shrank smaller and smaller until it finally disappeared. I filed for leave, bought a plane ticket, and flew back to my hometown. Before I left, I received a call I didn't expect. A calm, steady voice said, "Got time? Let's talk." At the cafe, I sat across from Tư Nghien's older brother. When Tư Nghiên and I first got together, his family hated me. They tried to force him to break up with me. He refused. He even cut ties with them for my sake. For years, the only family member he ever kept in contact with was Tư. Because he was the only one who supported our relationship. Tư frowned. His tone was displeased. Lately, little Nghien's been drinking every night. Do you know that? He said you're breaking up with him. Lạc Chi, he gave up his whole family for you. How could you abandon him? Do I really have to spell out how much he loves you? I knew exactly how much Tư Nghiên loved me. He loved me the same way I loved him. But his love was locked away, sealed tight behind walls. Never shown. While mine was laid bare. Visible, vulnerable. Too unfairly exposed. I didn't understand why Tư Nghiên had become like this. Tư looked at me and spoke slowly. Back in college, little Nghiên had a first love. He was young and didn't know how to control himself. Followed her everywhere. Texted her nonstop. But that intensity suffocated her. She broke up with him. Since then, he's been like this. He just doesn't know how to show love properly. Sometimes too much, sometimes too little. Lạc Chi, give him another chance. He said it as if it were the most natural thing in the world. But hadn't I already given Tư Nghiên enough chances? Why should I be the one paying the price for the wounds his ex-girlfriend left behind? My love had been worn down, bit, by his endless coldness. I didn't want to be tied to him anymore. My hometown is a coastal city. The moment I stepped off the plane, I could smell the salty ocean breeze. I went back to my childhood home, cleaned everything, then lay down and slept deeply. No nightmares, no chaos. Just peaceful sleep. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Tư Nghiên. Lạc Chi, where did you go? I placed fresh lilies into a vase and replied flatly. What does it have to do with you? He reminded me. I'm not your boyfriend anymore. There was silence on the other end, long, heavy. Before he finally spoke. I'm not calling to apologize. Your stuff is still in my house. It's taking up space and annoying me. Come get it. I had no intention of ever setting foot in that place again. Just throw everything out. Throw everything? His voice cracked slightly. The scrapbook you made? The postcards I painted for you? All of it? You don't want any of it? No. I don't. After a moment, I added. The garbage truck comes at 4 p.m. Throw them out now. Let them disappear as fast as possible. Tư Nghiên gritted his teeth. Fine, I'll throw everything away. Don't regret it. Tư Nghiên, I cut in. Do you have to talk to me with that attitude every single time? On the phone, I suddenly heard his breathing grow unsteady. But I continued. Let me be clear. I've been tired of your personality for a long time. I wanted to break up a long time ago. If your first love hurt you, go deal with her. Don't dump all your issues on me. I'm not your recycling bin. This is enough. If you still have a shred of decency, end this peacefully. Then I hung up. After that call, Tư Nghiên never contacted me again. And oddly, I felt lighter. I stayed home for 3 days before stepping outside. Standing in front of the row of restaurants, I hesitated, wondering what to eat, when a familiar voice called from behind me. Little Kai. Inside a Chinese restaurant, Tong Vanchu was peeling shrimp for me. When did you get back? Why didn't you tell me? How could I have the face to tell him? Tong Vanchu and I grew up in the same neighborhood. He was like half an older brother, always looking after me. When my parents died, I fell apart. My mental state crumbled. Tong Vanchu came over every day to cook for me. Took me out for walks so I wouldn't shut down completely. In my memories, he was always gentle, always thoughtful. The only time he ever got angry was when I overworked myself to the point of a stomach bleed, just so I could impress Sun Yan's parents. Back then, his eyes were red as he asked, "What is so great about him that you have to destroy yourself for his sake?" I had answered firmly, "Sun Yan is worth everything." Maybe he thought I was beyond saving, so he'd said nothing more and left. Soon after, he was transferred overseas for several years. I hadn't seen him since. I didn't expect him to be back now. Even after so many years, Tong Vanchu could still read my mood with a single glance. "You fought with Sun Yan again?" he asked. I shook my head. "We broke up. I didn't know why, but all the past hurts suddenly crashed down on me the moment I saw him. All the years of pretending, of swallowing pain, of holding myself together. And just like that, I felt overwhelmingly fragile." I whispered, "Vanchu. I got my heart broken." He froze, then sighed softly. "I know. I'll go buy fireworks later. When we were kids, I loved fireworks. Every time my mood fell apart, Tong Vanchu would buy a handful of fireworks and take me to the cliffs by the sea to set them off. That little habit stayed with me all the way into adulthood." Suddenly, I remembered Sun Yan's promise. He once told me he would take me back to my hometown to set off fireworks together. But for countless reasons, that promise kept being postponed, all the way until now. And now, it would never come true again. "What are you thinking about?" Tong Vanchu's voice pulled me back to reality. Only then did I realize I was holding my chopsticks motionless, long enough for grease to drip onto my collar. Tong Vanchu gently dabbed the stain with a napkin. His clean, cool breath brushed against my skin as he leaned in. I froze, not knowing what to do, my face growing warm. I was just about to thank him when a voice, ice cold and cutting, rang out behind us. "What are you two doing?" Sun Yan stood at the doorway. His eyes were dark and stormy, burning with restrained fury as he glared at me. "Lạc Chi, I thought you came back home to relax. Turns out you're sneaking around seducing other men." "Shut up!" Tong Vanchu snapped, anger flashing across his usually calm features. "Don't you dare slander little Kai. She did nothing wrong." Sun Yan shot him a look filled with open disdain. "And who the hell are you? You think you're worthy of talking about my girlfriend?" I stopped Tong Vanchu, keeping him from stepping forward, and said to Sun Yan coolly, "If you want to talk, let's take it outside, don't make a scene in here." Sun Yan's gaze flicked down to where my hand was holding onto Tong Vanchu's arm. His lips curled, something between mockery and provocation, before he turned and walked out. Tong Vanchu was worried. "I'm going with you." I shook my head. I signaled that I could handle it. Outside, Sun Yan's car was parked by the curb. He opened the trunk. Inside were medals, photo albums, postcards. All the things he claimed he had thrown away during our phone call a few days ago. Yet now he was carefully carrying them, piece by piece, to place them into my hands. "When I was packing your things that day, I looked through everything. I realized, we've made too many memories over the years. I couldn't throw them away. Please, don't throw them away either." He paused, then added softly, "I also brought fireworks. You once said you wanted to set them off with me in the place you grew up." Could we do that tonight? And you haven't been home for so long. My company isn't busy these days, I can stay here with you. I looked at him quietly, then sighed. Tư Nghiên, you could just apologize directly. He froze. His eyes reddened instantly, his head dropped low. After a long time, he rasped out, I'm sorry. The apology came too late. Like a drizzle falling onto soil that had long turned to dust. It couldn't soften anything anymore. But at least, it explained the past 5 years. I nodded, turned around, and started to walk away. Tư Nghiên panicked and grabbed my wrist. Hot droplets fell onto my palm. Please, don't break up with me. Everything you dislike, I'll change it all. Don't leave me. Only now, when all his usual tricks had lost their effect. When I no longer looked back. Did he finally lower himself for the first time? I stepped back, exhausted. Tư Nghiên, I've given you too many chances. But you never cherished them. Because you knew I would bend. That I would forgive. You enjoyed everything comfortably while hiding your selfishness behind the excuse of loving me. This isn't pride. This isn't a difficult personality. You're just selfish. His face drained of color. He shook his head desperately. No, that's not true. I cut ties with my family for you. Lạc Chi. You're the only one I have. You can't leave me. He clung to my hand like it was the last rope keeping him alive. But back then, he was the one who refused to hold on. Did he ever truly fight for me? Did he argue with his parents? Did he ever proudly acknowledge my achievements? No. Even when I became a top designer in the industry, he never once said a good word about me to them. He always claimed he gave up his family for my sake. But in truth, it was just a chain to bind me. A way to keep me guilty. Keep me staying. The truth? If he'd simply gone back, his parents would still have welcomed him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let Su Tanvu maintain contact with him all these years. I slowly pried his fingers off, one by one. Don't hold on anymore. This ends here. At first, he refused to leave, insisting, stubborn, eyes red. But then Su Tanvu called, his father was in critical condition, and he was forced to go. Sometimes, I was a little jealous of him. No matter what happened, Tư Nghiên always had a home to return to. While I only had myself. He said he only had me left. But the truth was the opposite. I was the one who only had him. The first day I returned to work after my break, Miss Soar came to find me. She looked apologetic. About that day, I'm really sorry. The director told me afterward that you two had already broken up. I misunderstood you. I told her not to worry. Given Tư Nghien's behavior that day, I could guess he intentionally kept things vague just to provoke me. Miss Soar invited me to a big meal as an apology. After understanding Tư Nghien's true nature, she snorted and warned me. When a man breaks up but still clings on afterward, he's not worth going back to. Don't soften up. Of course not, I replied. He's already lost the right for me to be soft. To make commuting easier, I rented an apartment near the company. Coincidentally, Tong Van Chu lived right next door. He was now working permanently at headquarters. On slow days, he would stop by to cook for me. His cooking was still the same, still all my favorite dishes. As steam rose from the small kitchen, I realized maybe I wasn't so alone anymore. That evening, after dinner, we went out for a walk. Suddenly, a familiar voice drifted through the dim street. Lạc Chi. Tư Nghiên stood under a street lamp not too far away. The weak light cast shadows across his face, making him look thinner, worn down. Ignoring Tong Van Chu's hostile stare, he walked straight toward me. He opened a small, elegant box. Inside were 2 rings. This is the gift I prepared for our 5th anniversary. If I had given you this that day instead of locking you outside, would things have turned out differently? His voice trembled, as if he were standing on the edge of collapse. But he was wrong. He thought I refused to forgive him because of that single night at the door. But disappointment doesn't pour down in one storm. It drips slowly, soaking deeper and deeper, until one day you turn around and realize you're already drenched to the bone. Maybe my reaction was too calm. Hopelessness filled his eyes. I've learned to love better now. Please, give me one more chance. Just one. I shook my head. I used to bend because I loved you. But now, there's no love left. Tư Nghien's world seemed to crumble. He staggered, then suddenly pulled me into a crushing embrace, so tight it almost hurt. As if it were a final goodbye. I'm sorry. Then he let go. Step by step, he walked out of my sight. And just like that, he disappeared from my life for a long time. Until one weekend afternoon, when I went out to buy something sweet. A car blocked my way. The tinted window slowly lowered, revealing a refined yet sharp face. Ms. Locke, may we talk? I had almost forgotten our first meeting. Standing in a grand hall lit with cold, complicated chandeliers. Even with Tư Nghiên holding my hand, I felt no warmth. A graceful woman stood at the staircase, looked down at me, and said, "Not good enough." But now, seeing her again, the sharpness in her eyes had softened. She sipped her coffee. "I've reviewed your profile. I admit, you're more impressive than I expected. But to enter our family, you're still lacking a bit. However, Tư Nghiên likes you very much. For his sake, I'm willing to compromise." Her patronizing tone almost made me laugh. I responded calmly. "Mrs. Su, I'm here because I respect you. So please show me the same courtesy. You don't need to elevate your son. From beginning to end, I never thought I was beneath him. If anything, he's the one unworthy of my love." Mrs. Su stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled and spoke toward the phone on the table. "Did you hear that?" From the speaker came Tư Nghien's hoarse voice. "Yeah. Good, then get up and move on," she said bluntly. "She doesn't want you anymore. Brooding won't help. Find someone new." I almost laughed. So she came to size up my attitude. Worried I might return and drag her son away. I had to admit, mother and son were quite alike. Neither of them could speak plainly. She hung up, then looked at me sincerely. "You're far more impressive now than when you used to follow him around." I accepted the compliment, though it was still laced with arrogance. I simply treated it as a joke. Life slowly returned to normal. One evening, I finally caved and helped Leon Tick clean the wound on his cheek. He muttered. Tư Nghiên rejected another arranged marriage. His father was furious and hit him. Tell me, has he not forgotten someone yet? I ignored the hint in his words, grabbed my bag, and smiled. "Boss, it's after work, please don't block my way home." Rain fell all day, cold and steady. I tightened my coat against the chill, only to be scolded by Tong Van Chu later. Outside the company, he stood holding an umbrella. His tall, straight figure in the rain looked like a sculpture, drawing stares from passing girls. Some approached to ask for his contact info. But he shook his head. "There's someone I've been waiting for many years." The girls walked away, disappointed. When he turned and saw me, he froze for a moment. I stepped under his umbrella, took his arm. "What are you standing there dazed for? Let's go home." If he had waited this long, then from now on, I wouldn't let him wait anymore. When the skies finally cleared, he held my hand like he used to when he found me lost as a child. "Come on," he said gently. "Let's go home. The story ends here, but the night is far from over. Join us again, where new secrets and passions await."